Not too loud here for the microphone, but good afternoon and welcome. My name is John Mulheron. I work with Hull Property Group, do government relations for the company, and I'm excited to be here today. It's an exciting day for the LaGrange Mall, and we're pleased to welcome you here today for some exciting news. I'll ask Mr. Jim Hull, the principal of our company, to say a few words in just a moment, and also ask Mayor Thornton to say a few words after that. But first, I'd like to thank a few people. Certainly, Paige in the chamber. I saw Paige earlier. Thank you for helping us get set up today. I know Donna Powell here at the mall. Donna has worked long and hard to get this up and running for us today. At 7 a.m. this morning, we had strobe lights going, and so we had a little power issues. So I know that she started early and she was stressed, but thank you for getting this set up. And then also the elected officials. We're going to name a few, and whenever you name a few elected officials, you always leave somebody out. So if you are an elected official with the city, the county, the school board, would you raise your hand and let us say thank you to you? Thank you all so much. We certainly wouldn't be here today without the great leadership that is here in LaGrange and Troup County, and we do appreciate it. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the individual leaders. Patrick Cruz with the county. I know Todd's here, Todd Tentler, the county manager. Thank you, Todd. I know Dr. Coles Pugh. I don't know, I haven't seen him yet, but with the school board. And then really we wouldn't be here without Mike Criddle. Mike did a great job. He really represents the community well, and we appreciate him sort of helping us lead through this process. And the culmination of a lot of hard work comes today, and we're very, very appreciative of all the leadership that got us here to this point. And if I could, I'd like to ask Mr. Jim Hull, the principal of our company, to come say a few words. Jim?
Thank you, John, and we're delighted to be here today, and to get together we're creating a destination shopping area for the LaGrange Mall, but also for the Lafayette Parkway corridor, which is really from I-85 to Davis Road, the retail corridor here. And we have already completed the first stage of this, the Aspen Dental that we built outside, and the soon-to-becoming Firehouse Subs. And today we're going to announce that we have leases signed and will shortly begin construction on a 55,000 square foot facility for Hobby Lobby and a 52,000 square foot facility that will be occupied by Dunham Sports. And I think we have some renderings of these facilities. One of the things that I thought was so neat was that once the facilities to be occupied by Hobby Lobby and Dunham Sports are completed, the LaGrange Mall will be a 5-anchor mall. And that is very unusual for a community this size. And I think back also to when we first did this, and the TAD, which was in December of 2015. And the TAD is the Tax Allocation District. That's when it was enacted. And we thought about what we could do, not only in the terms of the anchor tenants, but if you notice on the site plan, the overall site plan, it shows the area where the former facility occupied by Ryan's was, which we with the help of Mr. Jim Daniel, we have demolished that facility, and you can see a number of new restaurants and other uses that are proposed in that area. We're reconfiguring the land with some of the property formerly occupied by Ryan's and some of the mall land. So we'll have a number of new other restaurants and uses that we'll be announcing shortly. So as I said, back in December of 2015, we spoke here, and we we had the LaGrange Mall tax allocation district. The TAD was brought into creation, and at that time we emphasized that there were three major aspects of the TAD. The first was that the city of LaGrange and Troup County would not have any monies in the creation of the TAD. Secondly, that the TAD would enable Hull Property Group to use its own capital. And the third was that that capital through the TAD would attract nationally branded major retailers who otherwise wouldn't come here to LaGrange or wouldn't come on this time schedule. It enabled us to put LaGrange and our property here at the front of the line. And so we're so glad today to be able to say that all three of those aspects have held true as we stand here a year later and are making these announcements. And so as John Mulherin indicated, we want to give thanks to Mayor Jim Thornton. It's his leadership and his support of the LaGrange Mall and also the Lafayette Parkway corridor, retail corridor, that has brought all this to fruition. And we also want to thank him for his efforts. It's not only his support, but he spent a lot of time and energy working with us, as the other folks that John had mentioned, that Patrick Cruz, the chairman of the Troup County Commission, and certainly Todd Tentler, the Troup County manager, and our great friend Mike Criddle, the economic developer for the city of LaGrange. So there are exciting things that are happening here at the LaGrange Mall and the Lafayette Parkway corridor. And Mayor Thornton, we hope that you are as excited as we are today. Thank you very much.
Well, Jim, I am excited, and I think by the turnout here for the announcement, you can see that the community of LaGrange and Troup County is very excited. And so for the investment that you and your firm are making in our community, we give you thanks and want to say another round of appreciation for you. When it was alluded to that we were here a little over a year ago, I guess it was December of 2015. Yeah, December of 2015. So it was about a year and a month ago to announce the creation of the TAD. But the establishment of the TAD really goes back beyond that to 2011, when the voters of LaGrange and Troup County went to the polls and overwhelmingly approved redevelopment powers for the city council. That without the approval by the voters of the city of LaGrange, and also it was done throughout the county as well, but without that approval by the voters in referendum, the TAD couldn't have been created, and we wouldn't have been able to create the incentives that we have, and we wouldn't be here today. So while certainly I am very grateful for the members of the City Council, County Commission, the School Board, I think we also have to recognize the voters of our community, because ultimately they were the ones who said, we as a community want to do something to make our community more attractive for nationally brand retailers and for other investment from throughout the nation. And so by granting that powers, it enabled the members of the City Council, and several of them are here today, it enabled the members of the City Council, with the cooperation of the county and the school board, to create this TAD for the LaGrange Mall. And I get asked sometimes, why did you create the TAD? What does the TAD do? What's important about it? And what I always respond by saying, it creates an incentive that otherwise wouldn't have been there. And the way it worked in this case is, take the JCPenney's box. The JCPenney's box has been empty now for close to 2 years, I guess, since Penney's closed, and JCPenney's has closed stores in other communities. But they still had the box under lease. They were still paying rent. They had a number of years left on their lease. So if, wearing my other hat as a lawyer, if I were advising Mr. Hull, I might say, well, Jim, you could just sit there and collect rent. And you could still collect your rent, and you wouldn't be out any money, and you would be happy. But the community would suffer. The community would suffer because the box was sitting empty. So by creating the TAD, by agreeing to essentially keep the tax bill the same as it is now. So the mall's not getting a break on their taxes, I'm afraid to say. The bill's going to stay the same. But by creating the TAD, that additional multi-million-dollar investment that the Hull Group is going to be putting in LaGrange, that they will not have to pay the tax rate on that for the period of duration of the TAD. That incentive from the community that the council and the commission and the school board approved, that incentive is what tips the balance a little bit and says that as the private property owner, I'm no longer just going to sit there and collect my rent, but I'm actually going to make a multi-million-dollar investment. I'm going to add on to the building. I'm going to attract Dunham's. I'm going to attract Hobby Lobby. I'm going to work to attract other restaurants and retailers down the road. And so I am very grateful to the voters as well as to the elected officials for their vision in choosing to create this TAD, create the incentive. And I'm delighted that Jim and John and everyone else from Hull took us up on it and said, you know, we want to be a part of the LaGrange community. We want to be a partner with you at the City of LaGrange in doing something to really grow and expand the LaGrange Mall. This is an example of how public-private partnership works. If you go around LaGrange, go around Troup County, you'll see lots of great things happening in our community. From the downtown hotel, to the Great Wolf Lodge, to the new Century Tire project. Here at the mall, another example of how public-private partnership works, another example of how corporate America is choosing to invest big money in LaGrange, Georgia, and in Troup County. And that's something that I think we should all celebrate and something that our citizens are going to enjoy for many years to come. And so I thank you again for your leadership and your partnership in bringing this to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you all.
We're done.